What's up, guys? In this video I'm going to teach you how to rake strum. Basically, raking is just putting in multiple inputs with one motion. And, people have come up with some crazy ways to rake strum, but there are two widely used methods that are very helpful in some songs, and that's one finger raking and two finger raking. So one finger raking is a very useful way to put in two inputs with one slap of your finger, and that's really all it is. Some guitars cannot do this. In fact, my Explorer that I use right now cannot do this. But this is why a lot of people are buying wee Les Pauls, because oftentimes their strum bars can consistently one finger rake. And if you don't have a guitar that can do it, there's really no point in doing it. So the motion is very simple. You take either your index finger or your middle finger and just slap the strum bar in an alt strumming motion. And essentially what the strum bar is doing is if you're slapping it down, it'll bounce back up and do a second input. And if you're hitting it up, it's doing an up input and then doing a second down input. So this is very helpful in songs like I have up right here, which is Crisis Solo 4B from Crisis City. As you can see, there's groups of two strums here, which can be easily hit with just one slap of the strum bar. And now, you don't have to do it in just groups of two strums. You can do it in any sort of line of strums, as long as you're keeping track of how many inputs you're doing. But I can't very accurately show you me hitting this, because, like I said, this guitar can't do it. But I'll show you what it would look like if I were to do it. And for each group of two, you're just slapping the strum bar once. So that'd be one group of two, another group of two, and there's another. That's it. So this is what it would look like, essentially, if I was going to hit this. That's all it is. So the next type of raking that I want to show you is two-finger raking. So two-finger raking can be very useful on guitars that cannot rake. And or I should say on guitars that don't have strum bars that'll bounce back. So two-finger raking is taking either your index finger and middle finger, or your index finger and ring finger, and sliding it down the strum bar, performing two inputs in one motion. So let me get up close here. I'll take my index and my middle finger, spread them apart, and practice the motion of just grazing over the strum bar in each motion. Now, if you have a guitar where the strum bar bounces back sometimes, but not other times, then it'll be hard to do this consistently too. But it still works if you find yourself in a section where you can't alt strum it fast enough. Raking on any guitar, any Explorer, will work, as long as you're doing two-finger raking. So I like to use my index finger and my ring finger, just because it's easier to spread them apart for me, and if you want to do that, completely fine. Just practice the motion of sliding it down the strum bar and performing two unique inputs. And that's all it is. So I can show you this, since my guitar can do this. Let me go to Amalgamation. And in Amalgamation, there's the section I'm Sorry, which right there has a section that I don't believe anybody would be able to standard strum. If you can, show me, because that'd be great. But essentially what I'm doing here is, now, my guitar likes to bounce back on the up strum, but not the down strum. So what I'm doing is doing one down input for, let's say, the first orange, and then I bring it back up to do the yellow, and then I bring it back down to do the green, up for the orange, down for the yellow, and then for the next green. And it works out pretty well. Unfortunately, this guitar is just not that consistent, so I can't get consistent at rake strumming sections. But I'll most likely be able to hit this for you guys here, and you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. Basically hit it all. It was a -3. So that's rake strumming, guys. I mean, it's maybe a little tough on your fingers at first, but just keep practicing it. I'll promise you'll find that sweet spot where you're not just slamming your fingers on the guitar. You know, there's a technique to it, and just practice the motion. You'll get a lot better at it, I'm sure.